Welcome to In Our Nature, St. John, where city streets meet salt marshes. St. John, New Brunswick ecosystems tell a story of resilience. Join us as we explore how nature and people coexist. The St. John Naturalist Club can be found under Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Nature St. John. Come study, conserve, educate, and enjoy nature together with us on the east coast of Canada. Donations are accepted at the Canada Helps website. Thanks everyone for tuning in to listen to us talk about owls today. If you're like me, you have relatively little knowledge about owls in our area, what they eat, their behavior, and if it's true that they're all wise and old. Paul Martin is with us today. Paul is the president of the Hampton Nature Club in New Brunswick. For those of you who aren't aware, Hampton is a small town about 30 minutes outside of St. John. But he also does some work with us at the St. John Nature Club. Paul comes to us with much experience as a forest technician, outdoor education instructor, park naturalist, wildlife and bird survey formulator, sugar bush operator, and naturalist working with watersheds. Welcome, Paul. How did you come to have such a keen interest in owls?
Pretty much it comes from not just an interest in owls, but interest in nature. And my dad taught us how to respect nature from a very young age. I've been doing it since I've been able to walk. In my years, I started off doing a lot of stuff with wildlife. And then through that, I had a love for raptors, so birds of prey. Mm-hmm. And owls are one of the birds of prey. And owls are really specific in how they hunt, their habitat and all stuff and things like that. And that became a passion. I just find that they're so unique that it draws me in nature.
And how has your interest grown over the years? What would you say, you spent a lot of time studying owls or looking for owls?
With nature, wherever I've been involved in different types of nature, and like the Hampton Nature Club or working with watersheds or any naturalist club really. And it's all about drawing people out. And so for me, owls are part of that. And you do these things called owl prowls. The key thing with owls are most of them are nocturnal. At night, you don't see a lot of different types of species, let's say it that way. So with owls, it's kind of cool because if you go out at night, a barred owl, for example, a barred owl, when it calls at night, goes, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all?" So it sounds like, "Hoo, hoo, 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 hoo." And if I call like that, and I've gotten pretty good at it, I can call an owl in. Ah. And so when you go to night, you listen. The first thing you do is you listen for the owls. And there's certain species that are very vocal. And the barred owl is one of them. Mm-hmm. The barred owl is like the chickadee. Of all the owls, it's the main owl you'll probably see. And it's the easiest one to call in. You get out there and it's just really exciting when they fly in. Because if they fly in, first they call. And if you get more than one, you get all these different calls going on. And then on top of that, lots of times they'll come in and they'll land on a branch nearby, and mm-hmm. they're very silent. They're because their wings are designed a certain way, they're silent when they fly. But when they land, often they land on a branch, and the branch will make a snapping noise. And you make, sometimes at night, if they land near you, you'll jump out of your skin because it's like, whoa, what was that?
Right.
And it's magical in a way. And you begin. They land, they make a call, they call back, or sometimes they'll fly over you. And when they fly over you, they'll fly like just over your head, and you'll get a glimpse or a silhouette of this big bird. Yeah. It's just, there's something about it.
Are they territorial?
Certain species are. Great horned owls can be. And like most species, if you get near their nest, they get more territorial. But great horned owls I've had where I've been walking through the woods or driving down the road, and the great horned owl will fly really low right over you, and you think he's going to rip your head off with right. his talons, right? But he doesn't. But and the sad truth is, I've heard many reports of people actually hitting owls with their vehicle, and often it ends up being a great horned owl because for some reason they're I don't know if they feel challenged, but
or that protective happens. Maybe.
Yeah, it could be. It could be that. It's like deer in headlights. They see the headlights and they come in, and it's the one owl that seems to get hit by vehicles more.
Wow.
Which is sad, but
it is sad. So describe for me, what does an owl prowl look like?
So an owl prowl, you get a bunch of people out. There's two ways to do it. One is either by car, which is more often seen, and the other is sometimes you'll walk a nature trail. So I'll explain both. So the car one, what happens is you take the people out, and the first thing you explain to people is the importance of not taking a flashlight. If an owl comes in and lands, not taking a flashlight and shining the flashlight at the owl, because if you do that, you're blinding the owl. Their eyes are for darkness, for seeing in the darkness. And just like us, if our eyes will adjust quite well to the dark, but if somebody turns on a light, as soon as you turn off the light, all you're going to see is the light.
Right.
And for us, it doesn't seem like a big issue, but for an owl, it can be life or death. So it's really important not to shine lights at owls. You also have to consider the time of year. So often owl prowls are done either in February or maybe early March, but you don't want to go into April, May, because that's nesting season for them. And they're on the nest. And if you call the owls, you're drawing them away from the nest. And like all other birding, you never want to draw birds away from their nests. So it's important not to do it at that time of year. The other time of year to do it often is late summer, early fall, because it works really well then, because then they're the young ones that are off the nest and are growing, they're looking for territory. So they're more vocal that time of year. So it's good for them that time of year. So you go out, you pick a route where you know you're going to likely see certain species of owls, and then you take the people out. You stop at the point. You take your speaker. You put your Bluetooth speaker out, and then you have a set of owl calls. And you always start with the smallest owl. So for in New Brunswick, it would be the northern saw-whet owl, because the northern saw-whet owl is about the size of a coffee cup, and he has a call. His call is like a it sounds like a train almost. And then he has another one that goes, it's like a screeching noise that they make. Those are the two main calls.
You're very good at that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff with owls. So that's the first one you try to call. And we did an owl prowl at the Hampton Nature Club last year, and we were down in Herbs Cove, and actually we had two coming pretty close, land near the car. We couldn't really get a good look at them.
It was dark.
Yeah. But it was really cool to hear them so close to the car, and that was a big bonus. So that's the smallest one. Then you usually go for, depending on where you are, the barred owl is the next one. And like I said, I did the call, and I'll do it again. It's who cooks for you all. So it's hoo, 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 hoo. And then it has another call. It's like, and if you get more than one, they start to do both those calls together, which is really cool. And then they have a third call. It's like a wah, and they do that one sometimes. So they have a wide variety of calls, and all those different calls work at bringing in the owls. And like I say, they're the best owl you can come in, because they're the ones that they'll land in the tree, they'll sing, they'll fly right over people. And an owl prowl I did with the Belle Isle watershed, I've had more than one where this has happened, where we went out, we did the calls, there was nothing. We get back to the parking lot, and I'm explaining all the reasons why it's 50% to 60% luck finding owls. And right in the process of me saying that, I have my hand spread out while I'm talking, and a barred owl zips by my hand, almost touching it. And people are like, oh my gosh! And then they fly over us like 3 or 4 times, and they land in the tree, and they're calling. That's the keys of the owl prowl. You go to the spots, you do the calls, and you hope for the birds to show up. And if they do, it's magical, and people really get to see it. If I'm doing a trail system, before I take them out, I do like a recon. So I go into the area and I try my caller in different spots. And as soon as I get a call back, I stop. Because the other thing with callers, if you use them too often, the birds won't, they realize, it's those humans and not another owl, right? Because all they're really doing, they're coming in, so depending on the season, so just before mating season, so late winter, the males are doing defending their territory kind of thing, right? And in the fall, it's young, immature owls trying to find their territory. Those are the best times to do the vocalizations. And you don't want them to get used to the call, right? So you'll call and then you stop. And then I know they're there. So then if I bring people in, I know if I do the call, there's probably a 75% chance, because some of them have pretty big territories, that the owl will come in. And so again, this is a Belle Isle watershed moment. We had the group out and we went down. There's a place they take them. And we went down the trail and I tried calling and we weren't getting any luck. And I thought, well, let's go a little further. We'll go down by the water. And we went down and we tried to call. We heard one way off in the distance. And I thought, oh, yeah, he's really far away. We're probably not getting any luck. And we're coming back out the path. And all of a sudden somebody said, what was that? And there was a dark silhouette shape flew right down like through the forest on the trail ahead of us. So like it's a really thick woods at night, and you can see where there's like where the road is, the path is, because the trees are spread apart. Yeah. And the dark silhouette just went down through there. And then it came back, it swung back around, and it came down and it landed in the tree right above us. And the moon was out, because it's really good to do it when the moon is out, because then you
have some light.
Yeah. You don't have to use flashlights or anything at all, right? And so people were able to get a really nice picture of the owl. Like, and when I say picture, like not taking pictures, because I don't want them using their flashes.
They must have really good ears then.
Oh yes, owls, and that's the other thing. Owls, like a gray horned owl, for instance. A lot of people think the tufts at the top are their ears, and they're not. Owls' ears are actually centered differently. So you look down where the beak is, and then there's an ear down low on its face, like almost where the cheek would be, near where our normal ear is. And then the other ear is positioned at a higher position on the other side, closer to the eye, like they're off-centered. And when owls listen, it's kind of funny. If you ever see an owl look at you and all of a sudden he starts to spin his head around in a circle, it's funny because I'm doing it.
Yeah, he's actually physically doing it, yeah.
So yeah, they spin their head around, right? And they'll go both ways. And what they're actually doing is they're using their ears to listen, to zero in on where the noise is coming from. And another species, which we sometimes get here in the wintertime, they're actually found in Ontario, it's northern Ontario, the great gray owl. It's a beautiful owl. It's huge. It's huge owl. Except if you weight it, it's not, it's real. I have to Google it for the weight ratio, but it's all feathers.
It's not heavy, yeah.
Yeah, it's all feathers. The great horned owl is actually much heavier than the great gray owl, but if you put them side by side, the great gray owl looks much bigger. Oh. And the great gray I've seen him do this when I was in Wawa, Ontario, and he focuses in on where the mouse is, and the mouse is under like 3 feet of snow. And then what he does, he comes down off the branch and he comes down, and just like an osprey at the last second, he swings around so his talons are sticking down, and he dives into the snow just like an osprey would into the water after a fish. And he'll go down and comes up with the mouse. He just disappears into the snow, like his whole body goes down in the snow, and then you see the power of his wings coming back up.
Oh wow, magnificent.
And often people, not as much the great gray owls around here, but if you were out snowshoeing in the wintertime and you see this imprint in the snow, or it looks like wings in the snow with a hole in the middle, that was probably an owl going after a mouse in the snow.
Cool. I'll have to look for that for sure.
Yeah, it's something to watch for. It's one of those things.
Okay, the age-old question: are owls wise?
There's a bit of folklore around it. There's a couple of different things. A lot of people, they look at the owl and they see them very erect, standing straight up and looking very certain posture. And sometimes that gave an idea of wisdom. I think it's in the Greek mythology. There's a god who can change in form into an owl. Right? I think that's where some of it comes from. But yes, they're not wise per se. But owls, the way they interact seems different than certain species. So yeah, it looks like they're wise.
And what do owls eat? I mean, we've talked about mice, but what else is?
There's 3 different areas. There's diurnal, which means daytime. There's nocturnal, which is nighttime. And then there's crepuscular, which is basically twilight. So it's at dawn and at dusk. A snowy owl is a daytime hunter. So they hunt during the day, but you think about it, they mainly live in the Arctic in the summer months.
Right.
And it's 24 hours of daylight.
Yeah.
Right? So yes, they're a daytime hunter. They're mainly daytime hunters.
Good point, yeah.
Right? And then you got, for a nocturnal owl, gray horned owls, eastern screech owl. Barred owls are most active just after sunset and just before sunrise. Another one that's especially right around sunset, if you're fortunate to see this, Tantramar Marsh is the best place to see it. Germantown Marsh is another area where you might see them. Irving Nature Park, but not often. And that's a short-eared owl. And the short-eared owl is right just pretty much as the sun is just to go under, just to go down. They'll show up on fields and they just glide across the field looking for mice. Since the different owls hunt at different times of day, they focus on different species. Snowy owls being mainly in the Arctic. There's lots of lemmings in the Arctic. Lemmings are a big thing in the Arctic.
Okay.
So lemming is a huge part of their diet.
It's like a rodent.
Yeah, it's rodent. Most 99% owls, it is rodents. Rodents are the main species.
Okay.
All the rodent species. So there's mice, rats.
Snakes? Will they eat a snake?
Well, yeah, they'll eat snakes, frogs.
Fish? No.
Some fish, not a lot of fish.
Oh.
Voles are really big on. The gray horned owl, and this is one of the reasons you start with the saw-whet owl when you do the calls, because if you play a gray horned owl, the saw-whet owl won't answer, because a gray horned owl will eat a saw-whet owl. A gray horned owl would also probably take a crow. Interesting thing, if you're in the woods and you see a bunch of crows and ravens dive bombing a bird, right, mobbing a major bird, it's often either a hawk or an eagle, but a lot of times, especially ravens, you see them dive bombing a bird, and you go look at the bird, it's probably going to be a gray horned owl sitting there, because a gray horned owl at nighttime will hunt those birds. It'll take a bird.
Yeah,
and a gray horned owl.
I see that in the lot next to us, different species, but we have crows, and I see the bald eagles come in trying to eat the crow egg, maybe, especially in the spring, and they just start attacking.
and they get attacking, right? The mobbing is really important. The other thing gray horned owls will eat is mammals. They'll take something like a skunk, or even they could take a raccoon. And this is horrible, really, for cat owners. There was a survey done one time about underneath a nest of a great horned owl, and they found all kinds of collars. Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah.
From
I was gonna say probably a really small dog, maybe.
Yeah. They would take small dogs. Yeah. They're a large. They're one of the, next to eagles. They're probably the biggest winged predator out there.
Yeah.
So.
Who are their predators?
If a gray horned owl is out in the daytime, I would think if a large hawk saw it, it might take it. But I don't know for sure. I know of the accipiters, the goshawk. The goshawk is pretty fierce bird.
Yeah.
It might, but I think the biggest predator for owls is probably not the owl. It's when they're immatures. So the young, before they can fly, they're all downy. So other birds of prey might take them off their nests.
Yeah. What could I do to attract an owl to live near my home?
Certain species nest in cavities, right? So cavities are big holes in trees, usually made by pileated woodpeckers. Mm-hmm. And barred owls will nest and roost in cavities. Saw-whet owls will nest and roost in cavities. Eastern screech owls, cavities. Barn owls will. But then the great horned owl, they often use osprey platforms, and they'll take over osprey nests. So in platforms, the natural ones would be probably in pine trees. Yeah. White pine are nice big trees.
Yeah.
So often at the top of a white pine, you'll see a big nest, a raptor nest.
Yeah.
So knowing that the hawks and eagles nest in May, right? Great horned owls actually nest earlier, end of February into March, and March, April, depending on the severity of the area for the weather that gets. Mm-hmm. So in March, April, if you're driving around and you see an osprey nest and you see a bird sitting in the nest, take a really close eye, because it's likely either a raven, because ravens also nest early, or it might be a great horned owl, because great horned owls, they do nest. They usually nest in platforms or trees. The other one that does that is the long-eared owl. They nest later in the season. Most owl species like forested areas, so forest areas are really important. Mm-hmm. Different species, often great horned owls are often found near rivers. Barred owls, they'll use mixed forest, and often wetter mixed forest, so areas where you see lots of large poplar or red maple. The pileated woodpeckers do make large cavities in them. Okay. So anywhere where there's mostly hardwood species where you will find cavities, there you have a good potential of ending up having an owl, right? So if you want to draw owls into your property, you probably want to draw pileated woodpeckers into your property, because they make the cavities that the owls use to nest in, right? Yeah. Or build a nest box. The other part is food. So we talked about rodents. If you feed birds with seed, it's likely you have rodents. You might not realize you have rodents, but you probably have rodents. The cool thing with that is if you have rodents, you have species that eat rodents. And it could be weasels, it could be foxes, or it could be hawks and owls. Right?
How would anybody get involved in going on one of your owl prowls or otherwise partaking in the Hampton Nature Club?
With Hampton Nature Club, we have a page on Facebook, and anything we do on there is posted on the Facebook page. So that's the best way.
Okay.
If you don't have Facebook, and you can join the meetings. What I will say about owl prowls, and I think it's important because you do want to teach people about all the different species and the importance of their habitat.
Right.
But on the same token, you need to make sure you're not disrupting their habitat, right? In their life.
Yeah.
So there's a balance.
Too,
there's a balance, right? And it's learning how to deal with that balance. For Birds Canada, I do nocturnal owl surveys, and they're done all over the province, and they're really big. So they've been doing it for a long time. You go out at night, you have 10 stops in a 20-kilometer radius. So you do it year after year after year after year. They're used to measure what species are there, if they're doing well, if they're not doing well. It's a measurement tool to see how owls are doing. One of the things that's happening is loss of habitat. And loss of habitat happens for two things. We talked about tree cavities for owls. Well, tree cavities are often found in old growth hardwood stands. In doing so, it's affecting our species. And owls are one of those species. But I instead of forestry, I could say urbanization. And Ontario is a good example of that. Southern Ontario. They build and build and build houses, and the problem with doing that, again, is it's creating urbanization. Now, you'll get parks and stuff where you'll see some owls and stuff. Over the period of time, there's less and less habitat, and the less habitat they have. Right. Then, if there's less habitat, then what becomes really important is the fact that they need their space because they don't have as much space.
Thank you everyone for stopping by to listen to In Our Nature St. John today. Remember, we can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Nature St. John. Donations are accepted through the Canada Helps website. We host events every month, and they can be found listed on our website at stjohnnaturalistclub.org/events. Please follow and subscribe to our monthly podcast, and if you have any ideas for discussion, let us know in the comments. Until next time.